Welcome to my channel,
I
Lucas-san.
just realized that you started recording. The
It's okay.
psychological
It's
effect.
okay. Exactly. Now you're already feeling safe. Cheers. Hi everyone. I have here Lucas, my colleague. We are here in the Nairobi Airport in Kenya. Lucas, do you know anything special about this place? Because it's my first time here. And I'm honestly quite impressed. It seems well managed. But do you know any interesting fun facts about it?
About Nairobi?
Yeah.
No, I should just say that it has the largest compound of the UN outside of of New York.
What about the airport where we are now?
About the airport, I know it's the hub for Kenya Airways. It's one of the most important airlines in Africa. And it's a
Great.
beautiful airport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, one thing that I wanted to say is that I'm happy that we're doing this in an airport because being in an airport is something very meaningful for our job, for my career.
And for our identities.
For our identity, it's one of my favorite places in the world.
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of people, that associate airports with stress and, of course, with bad feelings of saying goodbye to people you love. That's all true, of course.
I associate it with stories.
But there are also great stories,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
So we are in an airport and I associate it with stories and I thought you are a right match for my channel. And before going there, can you tell me more about how it was for you to be on this business mission and how are business missions in general for you? Since this is one of my first business missions abroad, you are much more experienced.
Well, I must have been through some 40 business missions in the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay, and how do you think about them? First of all, what's the balance between glamour, you're going on a business mission, and the practicalities of it, the pros and cons, and also how your perceptions of them change from when you were super young and how you see them now?
Well, of course, I think one misconception that many people have about business trips is that, of course, this is not vacations.
Yeah.
You're traveling for work. So it can be quite stressful at times. It can be a big hassle. I've been to business trips before in which I visited 4 countries in 2 weeks in the middle of COVID.
Okay.
So I had to do PCR tests every time I
Right.
went to the airport, right? So it can be quite stressful. But that's also at the same time, that's why I chose this job. That's why I chose this lifestyle.
What is
I
one
just
thing
go
that you
into
really
one
like
place.
about business meetings?
One thing that doesn't stop to amaze me is you go to a large airport, a large hub like Dubai, like Qatar, and sometimes I would just take a minute, just sit down, look at people around.
Okay.
How cool is it to have all the diversity of humanity in one building? And you
That's
look
right.
around and the Indians over there, the Chinese over there, the Russians over there, the Americans over there, and everybody's at peace.
That's, I think, the bridge I'm going to use to get into the story for today. Because you are quite diverse yourself. You come from Brazil and you've studied in Europe and then you studied in Japan and you live an important chunk of your life in Japan. I'm bringing all this conversation into and tying it all up to the idea of purpose and happiness because this is the objective of my channel is to discuss how successful people reflect about these two concepts and how their priorities about purpose and happiness or their perception of meaning is changing. So can you maybe first start by introducing yourself to the audience to know why I think you're such an inspiring story to share?
All right, I'll follow your lead.
Okay.
You guide me where to go. Let's see. I was born in Brasilia. That's the capital of Brazil. And I think just being born there shaped a little bit of who I am today in two important ways. One is that it's a city that is really centered around the public sector.
Brasilia.
Yeah, so it's where the government sits. So I've always been inspired by the work of the public sector because it always felt, whatever the government is doing or was supposed to be doing or is supposed to be doing is to promote the public good, right? The good of all society. And I think there's something noble to it. I think this idea has always been in the back of my mind in my professional decisions. And second, because Brasilia, maybe not a lot of people know, it was purposely planned to be the capital of the country, and it was built in 3 years in the middle of nowhere. So it's one of the adventures of the Brazilian people, and I can't understate how adventurous it must have been at that time because really meant having thousands and thousands of people traveling thousands of miles into the countryside. So what the Americans would call the, I think, was it like conquest of the West, we also had to do that, move a population from the coast to the countryside. So a logistic challenge, a human challenge with a lot of going on. And then we got the city ready. And I always found it very exciting to think that somebody thought about everything
On a
around
long
us.
term.
Yeah, like how the streets should be, where people would live, where people would work, and how to design it in a way that is at the same time efficient and at the same time human, so that people would be
When you
happy.
say always, can you clarify a bit what was the moment in your life when you started to think this is an interesting way and maybe how that moment shaped
Okay, you let me
your
be a
career
little bit
choice?
nerdy.
Okay.
Please forgive me for the nerdiness, but it's an optimization problem, right?
Yes.
I mean, for those who have a little bit of a mathematical background, it's an optimization problem. And there's no way to explain this better for those who know the game SimCity.
Okay.
Have you
Yes.
played it before?
Sims.
Have you
Yes.
seen it
Yes, I've
before?
seen about. I've seen.
No, but come on, there's the Sims. It's a similar algorithm.
Yeah.
And there is SimCity.
Okay.
So SimCity is about building the
Okay.
city.
You're nerding out on me now. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically a game. I'm pretty sure somebody in the audience must know
Okay.
about it because it's popular even nowadays. So it's all about building the city.
Okay.
And then you start the game with a certain set of resources, money basically, and then you choose where to build the city and you choose how to design the streets and
Okay.
place the businesses and the residences and all of that. And your city can be successful or not. It can go bankrupt. So
Okay.
if it's a successful city, people will move into the city in the game. And if it's
You were
not
playing this as
successful,
a kid, or?
and I played a lot of this when I was a kid.
Right.
And then I realized that I lived in a city that was just like in the game because it was designed from scratch. You know?
Was it at the time when you had to make choices about your career?
That was way before. I
Okay.
was still a child. But then it just made me excited about the idea of building cities, about building transport networks because they are the, how, let's say, the backbone of any city, right? And then this is one of the ideas that guided me academically towards studying transport planning.
Great.
So, as I said, two aspects about being born in that city: transport planning and public sector interest on the
Right,
public sector.
right.
Those are two important things in my career. And then something that's not maybe related to being in that city, but I just remember how excited I was the first time that I got to speak with somebody in English.
Okay.
So it was just a very random person, a friend of a cousin of mine who came from Ghana. He was a missionary. That's
Okay.
not relevant, but just came to my home and spent the day with us. And I was a child. I didn't speak much English. Well, I had English classes at home, but it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter because I found my
Was it
way
the
to
first time when you thought
communicate.
about the world out there and the fact that you can speak in
It
English
felt
to
so
all people
exciting.
out there?
It felt so exciting. I think from that moment I knew that whatever I did, it had to be international.
Right.
And it's something that I always had with me. Around that time, I remember I had an interaction with my dad that we were watching a movie and it was a subtitle movie. So I couldn't understand what people were saying, and I got annoyed by it. Why can't I understand what people are saying? And that explained it because it's in English. And then I like, but still, so we speak Portuguese, right? Why
Yeah.
they don't speak Portuguese? Well, because people in different countries speak different languages, he said. And I was like, okay, so what do I do? So I have to learn English, right? And he said, yeah. And I think he understood where I was going with this. And then he took the chance and he said, no, but look, English is just one of the many languages out there. There's French, there's Spanish, there's Japanese. Well, I ended up learning all of them. I was
Great.
very excited about that as well.
You went to study and you studied economics.
So for university, I studied economics. Maybe I should say something more about this as well. I didn't come from a particularly privileged family, money-wise. And so growing up, actually, I can't say that I experienced myself, because my parents, we were quite all right as
Yeah.
middle class. But many of my cousins, my aunts and uncles, I saw a lot of human drama there. A lot
Right.
of dreams not being fulfilled because of financial limitations, not getting the necessary health care and all of that. And so this connected with that feeling that I mentioned before, the admiration for the work of the public sector. In connecting these two dots, I knew that I had to do something related to fighting poverty.
Right.
And then that's how I went into economics.
An unexpected free scholarship and a childhood love of SimCity led Lucas to the University of Tokyo and into the world of transport planning and fighting poverty. Episode 2 drops soon with a continuation of his story. Stay tuned!